now that the regular season is over, we have been asked a lot of your questions. And quite honestly, I just took the biggest three. We talked about two of them last night, but I was asked this a lot, like, hey, Blake, where do you see LSU going forward, going into next year? And I've been asked it a lot. Wanted to talk about it last night, but I did not think that I could just do that and answer other questions. I thought to myself, maybe I could, I thought that I could, but I couldn't. Too many bullet points that I wanted to hit on. Because, look, now the regular season is over. You're not playing for anything significant. Maybe the bowl game would seem significant. We talked about this last night if LSU played Notre Dame because, look, even it's not necessarily a rivalry other than Notre Dame's former coach now coaches here. But I've been asked a lot by a lot of you, what do I see or feel or think about the future of LSU football post Jaden Daniels? Well, let me just tell you this. Now, I remember, so point number one, look, I remember taking a lot of criticism on this show because a lot of you did want Jaden Daniels to be benched. After Auburn, I think after Arkansas was a game that a lot of you wanted him benched, even though he had the flu. Didn't want him playing after Texas A&M, after he hurt his ankle. You thought we should go into Georgia and just solely play Garrett Nussmeier. I remember that. And then, obviously, I remember what happened this year and him going just completely ham on everybody. But what does the Brian Kelly era look like without Jaden Daniels at quarterback? I got to tell you, look, I don't know. And I think it is the biggest question marks for me that I've had about LSU in quite some time on both sides of the football. I don't know if you're keeping Matt House. I don't think that you're keeping Matt House. I do think that Brian Kelly is going to shake up some things. I think he shakes up things at multiple positions on defense. I think that, look, you're going to have to try to keep a lot of your weapons and a lot of your dudes on offense, especially on the coaching staff. But that might not, that's easier said than done when you have an offense like that. Hopefully you're able to hang on to Mike Denbrock. Hopefully you're able to hang on to Joe Sloan. Hopefully you're able to hang on to Cortez Hankton, Brad Davis. Well, I don't think Brad Davis is going anywhere. You want to hold on to him. But you're going to have so many question marks at almost every single position group on this team. I'll talk about the coaching staff in just a minute. Because you have 2 1,000-yard receivers leaving. 2. You'll have 20 plus, almost 30. Actually, I think it might be 30. But 30 touchdowns, or right at 30 touchdowns that you have to replace from that receiving core. Now, do you have the talent there? Yes. Has Cortez Hankton shown that he can develop dudes? Yeah. I think that Cortez Hankton's biggest what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest way that I could tell that Cortez Hankton was a really good developer of talent was not Malik Neighbors, wasn't even really Brian Thomas, because I always felt that Brian Thomas had the potential, just had to go out there and show it. I know it was a debate that Carter and I had a lot of times. Like, Carter, I know that you're saying, and Carter used to say, look, I think he's going to be wide receiver 1. It's like, no, there's obviously a guy named Malik, but I thought he had the potential. He showed a lot of that potential. For me, that guy that we've seen develop under him that took that next step, even though he still had some drops, was Kyron Lacey. You remember when Kyron Lacey was brought over from ULL and you had all the Rudy Poo Raging Cajuns, like the Raging Review or whatever their name is, coming after us saying, he's a selfish son of a gun. Nobody on the team liked him. Well, then all of a sudden, he comes to, let's call it what it is, a school that prays every night their fan base, their players, their coaches, their administration, every single night they get on their knees and go, "Oh, dear God, please make us more like LSU." And then God comes down from the heavens and say, "Who are y'all again?" Anyway, Kyron Lacey has been the most unselfish human being on this team. Guys, the holding he got called for against Texas A&M, dude, did y'all see that kid on the sideline? Like, and look, I'm not trying to put down on the man. I love that this happened. Boo-hooing on the sideline because Malik Neighbors was not able to break the record of most receiving yards at LSU. All the while blocking his ass off so that one of his teammates could run down the sideline and who also scored could break, arguably, outside of the record that Joe Burrow holds for touchdowns in a season, arguably the toughest statistical thing that you could break at LSU. Because look at the dudes that have played here. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Odell. The list is just astronomically long. Pause, and that's what she said. I know that there is going to be a lot of shakeup along the offense based off of the development that I have seen from what this offensive staff has been able to do, not just with Jaden Daniels. Guys, you saw it everywhere, right? Like every position group got better. The O-line got better. The receivers got better. The quarterback got better. And I know some of you won't technically completely believe this. I think you got better at running back. I think you're deeper there. And you know the guy that coaches that position. So do I worry about LSU offensively? Yeah, maybe a little, right? Like maybe a little, but not as much as a lot of you do. Here's another thing too. I got labeled as the guy last year that hated Garrett Nussmeier. Oh, Blake's just a Jaden Daniels homer. No. What I was is I saw a kid, which, by the way, we literally post videos on our social medias from practice, and you still have dumbasses who say that we're not credentialed. No, you think that you are more important than you are. I'm just throwing a little petty shot at some people, but we're at practice. Nevertheless, I saw a kid last year at practice, year one under Brian Kelly, who wasn't ready. I came out in this show and said he wasn't ready. Then he goes out there against Southern, has 2 interceptions. One of them's a pick 6. And what did we say then? Guys, you're going to have to give him time to get ready, prepare himself. You're going to have to give him a season. I think it was like episode 600 and something where I came out and said, listen, you're going to have to give him time. He's going to work out. I like Joe Sloan a lot. He's going to develop this kid. He's going to be good. Give him time. Then in the SEC championship game, just threw for 300 yards and a half against the SEC champ. And then the worst thing on planet Earth could have happened to Garrett Nussmeier this year. The Heisman Trophy winner, which, by the way, I'm going to call Jaden Daniels the Heisman Trophy winner, but until it's just not accurate. But for me, right now, Jaden Daniels is the Heisman Trophy winner. So you have the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Jaden Daniels, okay, getting knocked out by a Rudy Poo against Alabama. He comes off the sideline against, guys, what I will tell you, a team that potentially and has a very good potential in Alabama to be not only the SEC champ, because here's another thing that a lot of you aren't thinking about. If they are to upset Georgia in the SEC championship game, are you sure that there's another team better than Georgia out there? I know a lot of you will say Michigan, but doesn't Michigan kind of have to prove a little bit to you too? Like they got beat by TCU last year in the playoffs. They also got absolutely curb stomped by Georgia the year before. Garrett Nussmeier was put in a very tough and impossible situation where, oh my God, he went 50%. Oh no! We got to go to the portal for a starter. I will say this publicly because I quote tweeted him. You got Scott Rabelais from The Advocate who said, well, if Garrett Nussmeier doesn't pick it up, we're going to be going to look for a quarterback in the transfer portal. And all the while I'm thinking to myself, dude, did you not just see the development that Jayden Daniels had? Like, did you not? I mean, what? Now, they're two completely different quarterbacks. Completely opposite different. They couldn't be more different from play styles of one another. Offensively, I think that you got to come to the realization that, look, yeah, you're not going to be this year's offense. And it worries you mainly because of what the defense is going to look like. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the bottom line is, I'm not off on Garrett Nussmeier. Now, if there's a player in the transfer portal that you think that can run your offense better than him, do I think you should go get him? If you collectively as a staff think that is possible, Dante Moore, yeah. If you think that, because look, I'm not going to dispute you if you go get the right dude now, but Garrett has been loyal to you, and I get that, and he's got to get a shot. Does not mean you don't look at players in the portal. You evaluate every position. And those coaches have been at practice all year long, clearly. And they've seen Garrett Nussmeier all season long, clearly. But I will just say this. If they are there, you go and get him. Okay? If you think you like KJ, I mean, go do it. Now, do I think that they're going to get KJ Jefferson? No. Do I think that they're getting Dante Moore? No. But if there is somebody out there that fits what you like and you think you can develop that even could sit a year behind Garrett Nussmeier, you go get him. You go get him. Because I think Ricky Collins is on the same path, at BK's words intended, the same path as I think Garrett Nussmeier. He's going to need some time. He's going to need some time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, absolutely 1,000% nothing wrong with that. At least I believe that Ricky Collins needs another year of development, getting in the weight room, getting stronger. I still think that he needs to work on his throwing motion. Like 1,000%. He is still here. Now, I think that Sloan has worked on a lot of things with him. He's got such a long throwing motion. Okay, when he pops out, he should be here and throwing. You see Jayden Daniels, Jayden's here. Jayden is what they call it is the slingshot. You want a quarterback with a quick release that slingshots it. Where in a baseball move, which Ricky played, Ricky has a Jordan Thompson delivery. Now, not accuracy, delivery. He's here. He goes down, up, and then throws. You can't have that long of a motion. I think, you know who else has that motion? Arch Manning had that motion. A lot of that has to do with body strength and obviously technique. You're not ready there. Now, I like Ricky Collins. I think Ricky Collins can run, and I think his play style fits your system. Give him another year, then you can evaluate and see where you're at there. But, well, I had these points out. I went through the 3 of the 4 points, excuse me. Point number 4, okay, for me is pretty simple. When I look at the defense, listen, you're going to have to go in the portal right now for defensive linemen. You're going to have to go in the portal right now for linebacker. You're going to have to go in the portal for safeties and corners. And I'm just going to tell you something. You better evaluate right, and you cannot miss. Because to be real with you, I don't know if you have the dudes right now that can get you there. It's a massive question mark. And you have a massive question mark at every single position group. Do I think Harold Perkins can do a lot of things for you? Yeah. But Harold Perkins can't cover up the sins that you need him to. He will not be able to cover up the sins that Jane Daniels does for this team. Obviously, he's a quarterback. You're going to have to go get dudes. You're going to have to go get corners. I mean, like, there is a massive question mark in reference to personnel on this defense. Can you develop these young guys very quickly? Guys, a year is very quickly. You need Javian Toviano to grow up. I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to believe that you're going to hear come out of my mouth. Pause, but you need Sage Ryan to return to be a boundary corner. Can't believe I'm saying it. But as the year went on, I mean, Sage was not that bad. Everybody else was around. Now that the season's over with, they're 9-3. Go back and rewatch some of those games. You're going to have to either go get safeties, okay, hopefully maybe you hit on a freshman, Deshaun McBride, that can come in and play. Can Colin Jackson be ready? Can Jordan Allen get himself ready? Does Major Burns return? There are so many question marks. None bigger along the defensive line. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I will put in the transfer portal addition into my segment here. I think how do I want to say this? Hint, hint, wink, wink, ping. I think that there's players that you're going to get out of the portal that are going to hit on Monday. I think that there's players that you're going to be going after that hit the portal on Tuesday. I think that there's players that you're going to be going after that hit the portal on Wednesday. And I guarantee you that it has to consist of, and not limited to, defensive line, linebacker, corner, and safety. And if anybody on planet Earth, whether it comes from On3, 247, Rivals, RudyPooTech.com, it does not matter. They are wrong. Because when they sit there and evaluate, and I talk to people inside that building, they need safeties, they need corners, they need linebackers, they need D linemen. And if they misevaluate, I know that all of you are talking about personnel, right? Meaning, I know you say, well, for Matt House, and my last part of this segment is going to be on the coaches, on the defensive side. I know a lot of you say, well, Blake, it's a mixture of a lot of things. It's a mixture of that we don't have the dogs. Roof, we don't have the dogs. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. You also tell me, but Blake, I know that there's some scheme attached to that too. And you're not wrong. You brought in a crap load of people from the portal that you misevaluated on. I know for a fact, and you know for a fact, and I know that you know that I know for a fact that you had disagreements, and there were disagreements inside those rooms when you are evaluating people, and the people that actually do this for a living in recruiting, you disagreed with, that quite honestly have a better track record that you do when it comes to evaluating talent. Guys, I'm going to tell you, there are guys on that recruiting staff, their evaluation skills are not good. They're not great. There are some of them inside that recruiting building and space and era where they're elite. Don't argue with them, you Rudy Poo. What are you doing? You got the Heisman Trophy winner coming out and saying that a guy, I'm not going down that path, but you read the same article that I did about who Jane Daniels' right-hand man is. Evaluation and talent. When it comes as far as coaching staff, now I have not been reading these comments. I have been on a tangent. There's no telling what big news is broken, if any. Okay? I will tell you, as God is my witness, if you don't change things inside of that room in the coaching staff, you should not expect anything to change on the field because you've misevaluated. Guys, Braden Swinson, why is Braden Swinson not playing? Why is Deshaun Womack not playing? During the season, I said I am not going to be calling out dudes that need to be changes. We're not in the season anymore. I need to see 40 on the field. 40 had issues. I get it. I get it. Deshaun Womack had some issues. Don't put it. And when I say all of that, I know that when people say put in Deshaun Womack, they don't give a great explanation. Their explanations, quite honestly, is like farting dust. Your explanation is shit. Like, dude, it's fucked up. It's so stupid. Hey, well, I don't care. He doesn't play good against the run. What are you talking about? Are you that dumb? Like, are you that stupid? Well, I know that he plays bad against the run. What are you talking about? Guys, teams run the ball 45% of you on you all the time. Now, I think Deshaun Womack's going to be freaking fantastic. Put him on the field third down. 130th on third down conversions. You're 130th out of 130 teams at 37+. You were not only bad, you were abysmal. Now, what have we seen from Brian Kelly? I would be interested to see how he what he does at DC. I don't know if he doesn't look from places close to home. If he does that, you can't miss. The SEC is not a place you can miss on. I will tell you this because a lot of my words this week have been misconstrued and taken extremely out of context. Now, could that be a little bit of my fault? Maybe, and I could be wrong there. And it might be my fault, and I apologize. If you think that I'm not on this Brian Kelly train, you're a dumbass. I think he does get it fixed. I think a lot of people around, I've seen a lot of you say 7-5. Okay. I've seen a lot of you say we're going 8-4 next year. Okay. Keep that same energy. Because you're looking at it through a prism right now. Now, if we get to August and we go out there and we look at them and say, oh, shit. Guys, again, like I opened this segment up, this is a long-ass segment. Okay? Like I opened up with this segment. You're going to, when it comes to seeing what we see in, I hope all of you remember this shit. You better remember it. Name one thing that we saw in camp the last 2 years that we've been wrong in. A lot of you came after me, pause, but about Jaden Daniels. You came after me this year. You said, Blake, you're wrong about the secondary. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. You're right, dog. Jerry Bean says, house not leaving. You want to make a bet? Want to make a bet? How much you want to